Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm great, Colin. How are you? How are things in Ireland?
They're good. They're good. As good as can be at the minute, I guess.
It is such a pleasure to talk with you and meet you. And again, congratulations on the right stuff. What an amazing series. This is, of course, based on Tom Wolfe's book. And you play Gordon Cooper.
I do.
He is one of my heroes. What an incredible human being he was. Was there something you discovered about the early days of NASA and the space program that you didn't know?
I mean, there was a lot, but mostly it was I was more fascinated by the lives of these guys who were thrown into a level of fame nobody really knew about or had experienced before, and how that affected them behind the scenes with their families and their kids. And you know, it was a pretty amazing story. These guys were first off willing to sit on top of a nuclear rocket and get blasted off into space when they didn't know what was up there. But then they became the most famous people on the planet. It's an amazing story.
Yeah, and each of them had a different kind of reason for doing this. I mean, they were all pilots. From John Glenn to to your character, Gordon Cooper. Did you discover something about Gordo in his personal life that we didn't know?
Well, I didn't realize that he essentially he was separated from his wife Trudy, and they essentially pretended that they were happily married for his time at NASA, which ran for quite a while. So that to me was fascinating. Also, the fact that he was the youngest of the pilots, and in some respects they kind of looked down on him a little bit, because some of them were quite highly decorated and stuff. But he essentially, in some respects, his flight was the most successful, and especially really with a really difficult flight. So all that kind of stuff I was fascinated by. He's a pretty amazing guy.
For me, it was how small everything was back then. The capsule that they were shot up into are just tiny as hell.
Yeah, yeah. It was the day that we sort of saw the capsule for the first time. That was pretty amazing, because I had expected it for some reason, even though I knew it was quite small. I'd expected it to be a lot bigger than it was, and it's tiny. You barely fit a person in it, and they didn't even have windows. There was nothing in it really. And one thing that I was fascinated by was the fact that on the first flight, it wasn't controlled. It was controlled by the ground. So the pilot themselves didn't even have control over the capsule, really.
Yeah, in our final moments that we have together, tell me a little bit about the sets, because these are they're practical sets, but they've recreated NASA for you.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. Look, the art direction and the costumes, everything on the show are spectacular. And in particular, they built a Mastiff, which is it's the thing that sort of runs on all the different axes that they used to train on, and it's pretty amazing when you walk in and you see this massive piece of machinery that I think it had to be sort of certified by NASA as well. And, I got to ride in it, which was incredible. But yeah, it was amazing just every day walking out, to see these amazing sets, and, these unbelievable, beautiful old cars and costumes and stuff like that. It was great.
Colin, thank you so much. Again, it's the right stuff. It's on Disney Plus, and thank you for being part of our show.
Thanks for having me.
This celebrity interview is sponsored by.
I'm Annette Civarella with Pia Anderson Moss Hoyt, Utah's leading entertainment law firm, serving clients nationwide. We provide solid, attentive representation focusing on minimizing risk, reducing cost, and protecting the reputation and privacy of our clients. Our goal is to provide you with the legal representation you need to make the right decisions and to protect you and your creative works. Call or email me for a free consultation.